everyone. You're welcome again to another episode of Reading with Elsie. Today, we continue our series of reading literary pieces from authors other than myself. And today, we're reading a beautiful piece from an author, one who I've grown to admire and respect so much, one who has mentored me in my writing. His name is Dr. Michael Osei Agyapong. He's a medical doctor by profession and an award-winning writer. He's a purveyor of snappy stories. For those of us who follow literary pieces a lot on social media, you must have seen this. And he runs a blog called Eyes Touched by the Dew. His pen name is Kwasi. Later on in the reading, I'll be sharing with you his social media handles and the link to his blog so that you can follow him for more beautiful literary pieces. And for those of us who are writers, pick up a few skills and techniques from him. Today, the piece of his that we're reading is titled An Intact Spirit. An Intact Spirit is a story in the setting of northern Ghana. And so those of us who are not Ghanaians, our listeners who are not Ghanaians, you might not be familiar with certain words that are used. However, for the excitement of it, you can always drop them in the comment section. Let's talk about it and let's teach you more about Ghanaian culture and our ways. And so here it goes. An Intact Spirit. Let her talk to me like she wants. She's my mother now, isn't she? Grandma whispered, about Ima in my direction like a character will an aside in a stage play. She wasn't fuming. Neither was she upset. She said it more like someone who had accepted her lot. This lot was probably the best that had become of her. She could have been freezing into glass in a morgue's freezer like her brother, or wasting away on a farm like her sister in an I read you, you go back battle with grasses, or caught in poverty like her fiancé, as most of her contemporaries had done till their death. So she was okay with her children raising their voices over hers. Let's add some dawadawa to the soup, Grandma said. She was sitting on a stool in the kitchen, cutting tubers of yam into rough slices and washing them in a bowl of water that sat beside her left foot. No, that will spoil the taste, Ima said, as she stirred her soup, tilting the saucepan a bit to allow a stronger talk. But your husband loves his soup that way. I have told you my husband does not have good taste. Then why did he marry you? Grandma said. I stifled a laugh. Lahari, you still don't understand marriage after 23 years of it. Your husband's taste should be your taste. The food you cook is for his tongue, not yours. No dawadawa. Grandma sighed. She knew those two words had brought finality to the argument. Any further word said was like ignoring the beware of dog sign on Baba Nendo's house and entering it unshed. Ima was like that. She didn't win arguments with reasoning. She won them with sheer force of voice and imperative phrases, beyond which a reply yielded a metamorphosis into a dragon. No one wanted to witness Ima's dragon state, so everyone learned to speak and live within acceptable limits. Everyone, including Grandma. I helped Grandma to collect the slices of yam into a bowl, and we carried it through the kitchen door to the concreted area at the back of the house, where we were going to pound it in a mortar to make soft gummy fufu. Don't mind Ma, she's like that. I said, as I brought the long pistol down on the yam in the mortar. I know my daughter like the palm of my hand, Banzu. Grandma said, as she put a slice of yam in the middle of the mortar, where my pistol will find it to crush it. Your mother won't add dawadawa because she's too proud to take a suggestion. But she will let me add it on her behalf because she needs it in that soup. Grandma said with a chuckle. Pound on, my boy. And I did, my palms suffering the brands each time the pistol came into contact with the mortar. It was on these fufu pounding days that Grandma reminded me of her history, how her parents didn't think it important to send her to school, how they gave her off to be nurtured by her aunt for no apparent reason other than the fact that they needed tougher hands to bring her up, and the said aunt had well-calloused hands to show for toughness. How tough nurturing meant living as a maidservant in her aunt's house, granted 4 hours of sleep a day, the rest of the day divided into doing the laundry, cooking, bathing her toddler and infant cousins, joining her aunt's husband at the farm, returning with loads of firewood after walking miles through paths in the bush and getting lashed at least once a day for no reason at all. Grandma scooped 2 balls of fufu side by side into a plate so that they lay like a pair of smooth buttocks. I wonder where my auntie is now, and her children, those lazy cocoons. I waited. This was the point where Grandma would talk about how her escape from her aunt's house in the dead of the night to Nyaba Seidu's, and how he allowed her to sleep the night only to wake her up in the dawn and send her back after admonishing her that once she had an intact spirit, she could live forever with a broken body. The spirit is the key. Teen version of Grandma ran back before the family rose with a firm decision to live beyond survival in the house of her aunt. She would not mind getting her body broken as long as her spirit remained whole. And to keep her spirit whole, she smiled at rebuke, sang at dawn, prayed at midnight, and cultivated her little cousins with the tenderness of a horticulturalist. You see, your mother has left the kitchen now. I nodded. It is her way of saying that I should come and do to the soup what I want, Grandma said, her eyes twinkling with juvenile mischief. I tell you, soup is for the tongue. Than the stomach. Soup will stay in your stomach for a few hours, but can remain on your tongue forever. Good soup will keep you by your wife's side. Marry a woman who can cook if you want to be faithful. Grandma went to the kitchen and left me staring at the mortar, ruminating on her words. The aroma wafting from the kitchen suddenly gained a sharper edge, and I knew dawadawa had been added to the soup. It was at that precise moment that my mother's voice reached the kitchen from the area of the toilet. I told you not to add dawadawa. Grandma looked at me and smiled. I told you she wants dawadawa in her soup. I rolled my eyes, wondering how no dawadawa got to mean need dawadawa. But who can doubt an intact spirit's judgment? I waited patiently for the clash between mother and daughter. Daughter will win, but mother will enjoy it. Thank you very much for reading with me. I'll pause with a story here. Next week, we'll continue and know how it all ends. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share across to friends, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. And don't forget to share your opinions about food being for the stomach and not just for the tongue, or food being more for the tongue than it is for the stomach. Catch you again on another episode of Reading with Elsie. See you. And in the month of September, there's something even more exciting than reading other pieces. So stay tuned, stay with us. Let's learn more, build our vocabulary, read more stories, build our creativity, and let's have fun. My name is Elsie.